Hey, good afternoon. Maria back with another video. It is 5:28 p.m. It is, I believe it's Tuesday. It is indeed Tuesday. So I'm back with another video. I'm in the kind of a talkative mood right now, but unfortunately I'm not in a situation where I really know a bunch of people so I can just strike up conversations. This is one of the worst things that happens to a targeted individual. It cuts off your ability to socialize, because you always have to be very careful about what you talk about and that sort of thing. But like I said, YouTube has been very kind by making it so that we can make videos and talk about issues that are on the top of our head. It really, I do a lot of self-analyzation, and I realize that what they said about people who've experienced targeting or gone through human trafficking or whatever is that it does kind of stifle like your life. Like you get to a point where you don't really have anything to talk about other than your experiences, because it literally takes everything out of your life. Like, I don't know the people I used to know anymore. Sometimes question whether I ever did. I figure if you did something like this to another human being, I question whether I even know you or not. Also, they put in a situation where you're uncomfortable being in an environment, so your life changes. It changes your life completely. So I don't really have any point of reference to anything anymore. So the only thing I do basically is I get up, I go to work, and I come home. And so of course I do engage in my hobbies every once in a while. Which I do want to start doing a little bit more of my hobbies this upcoming spring. I was really beating myself up last weekend. I was thinking in the back of my mind, you know what? As soon as I get done with what I was doing, I want to finish my video that I've been trying to get done. I've been working on my video since this is terrible, but my depression was so bad last year that it literally left me in a state of, like, I just couldn't do anything. Like, I literally come home and just sit in one spot for a very, very long time. I have gotten better, but like I said, it's a very slow progress, and I need more things to enrich my life because, like I said, I'm very limited on what I can think about, because everything in my life basically has become defiled in a way. Like, I like to separate certain thoughts. If something, I find it disturbing, like, I will back myself away from it to where I don't have to deal with it anymore. And so when people invade your life, your space, your whatever, I try to disassociate from it. And unfortunately, they invaded way too much of my space, and it really caused me a lot of mental upset. So, and I'm trying really hard not to constantly complain about the things that happen to me, but sometimes it gets a little hard. So sometimes I just try to take out certain things that happen to me, and then maybe pick a topic from my experience. And I was thinking about how, so that way, if I focus on a particular topic that related to my experience, and then move them from the equation, then it could be somewhat of a constructive, like, conversation. Okay, so I know a lot of women get targeted because they're single, and and then you get a lot of people who want to taunt you because they think, oh, you want a man, like, and I really fucking hate that kind of talk. Really, I do, because anybody can go out and have sex or whatever, and I personally, this is my true belief. Okay, tradition, religion aside, okay, because I don't accept, just because somebody's a particular religion or whatever, you can put social pressure on me all day long. I know my rights as an American citizen, and I also believe that I have birthrights. Like, I was born to make my own decisions, whether they're right or wrong. I have to answer to God for what I do on my time of judgment, whether that be, like I said, I get hit by a car, or I die at Armageddon, as they call it, or whatever. That's what I have to be held accountable for, and that's between me and the supernatural being. Okay, but if it is in someone's heart to be promiscuous, for example, which it's not, because believe me, if it was in my heart to be that way, I would have multiple sex partners. Okay, but it's not. I mean, but I personally think that no one has the right to tell me to not do that. You know what I mean? And this is what bothers me about, I don't like people trying to influence my life. Like, I felt as though growing up, my family, my parents were kind of backwards a little bit, And all of my life, I've valued my own opinion, my own desires to do certain things, and I don't like people attaching themselves to me. And this is not sounding rebellious in any way, because I'm an adult and I don't have anyone to answer to. Now, the only thing that I do answer to is, of course, the law. Like, for example, I'm not going to beat the shit out of my perps because it's illegal to do so. I lay a hand on somebody, then I'm going to be put in jail. I mean, I could go to prison for that. Okay. I can pay severe consequences for that, right? So I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do those sort of things. But when it comes to my life and things that are subjective, like, whether I go out and party till 3 o'clock in the morning, which Maria's pretty boring. She doesn't do that. But if she did, okay, if I did do those sort of things, then that's my choice. You know what I mean? And I don't want to ever be in a situation where I have to explain why I do something. I appreciate my freedom. My son's a grown adult, okay? And I know that adulthood would mean nothing if I made him report every little thing that he did in his life. That's no one's business. That's his choice. That's the beauty of being an adult. You know what I mean? And when people try to make me accountable to them outside of things that are understandable, like, for example, I have to account for my time at work, right? Like, if I can't take like 3-hour lunch breaks, right, and then come strolling in, because my boss is like, hey, where were you, right? She has every right to question my whereabouts. I'm on her time. I'm clocking in and whatever, okay? So in this situation, of course, I'm accountable to somebody, all right? But I'll be damned if I'm going to be accountable to anybody on my free time and in my life, okay? So this whole issue made me very angry, okay? And it's not rebellion. I get really tired when people start looking at this as a form of rebellion, because I'm an adult and I don't have anyone to answer to. Now, going back to the issue of marriage, no, I don't want to get married. Now, I think a lot of people, when I was younger, I wanted to get married because I was under the impression that marriage was like all the beautiful love songs. And I mentioned this before, and a lot of women do. They think, well, it's about love. It's like, and they don't think of it as love as a sexual love. It's like this beautiful little loving feeling that you have towards another person. Yeah, I guess sex does play a part in it, but you're more drawn to that person because of the intense emotional gravitational pull. And then, of course, then I guess the sex, quote unquote, love making and everything else kind of is like the icing on the cake. Okay. This is what they show in movies. Okay. This is what they show or they put in love songs and lyrics and all this other stuff. So from a young woman's perspective, this is what they want. And this is what a lot of people ended up thinking that this is what they were getting into. And for a few moments, or maybe for a brief period of time, like that 6 months, year period, sometimes those feelings can exist between a couple for more than 2 years, if it's not based on anything practical. Marriage is based on practical things. It's about, survival, having a family, supporting, and some people turn it into a business or whatever. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I have been abused all my life. Okay, so being in a structure, an institution, is the last thing I want to ever do. Okay, I don't want to be any part of that. And I realize, like, the older I get, the more people sitting and looking at you like, well, aren't you going to do that? I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want to do that. And I'm going to be honest with you. I would rather take a gun, put it in my mouth, and pull the trigger. This is not a fucking joke. I would rather commit suicide than be married. That is the last thing I want in my life. And seriously, when I was dealing with my targeting, I seriously thought about that every day. You know what I mean? And then especially when the people that they were trying to present to me, like my son's father, I was like, fuck, man. Okay. I remember reading about the exit bag, and it was supposed to be like this humane way of like taking your own life. You basically connect it to like a propane tank, and you put this shield over you, and then you inhale it. And I kept thinking, okay, I'll go get a propane. Seriously, don't ever do this kind of shit to another person again. And I know you might look at women, you might think, well, she's at a certain age, and most women her age are this, and this. This is what they talk about when they have these meetings about intolerance. This is what they talk about. This is what they're trying to show or demonstrate when they talk about religious intolerance, when they talk about age discrimination or whatever. This is the sort of stuff. And no one wants to be placed into a mold And I don't want to be placed into a mold either. When I moved here many years ago, I just wanted to move here because, like, number one, the rent was really freaking cheap. And yeah, I knew that my ex-boyfriends, my son's fathers, I think his family lived here, his mom lived here or whatever, but I never made any effort to contact her. I was focused on one thing. Lancaster has always been a cheap place to live. Bakersfield was even cheaper because I had lived in like Lancaster, I lived in Roseman, I lived in Cal City, I lived in all the little cheap spots, okay? This was like the next best place, because I was running out of places because like the rent was just getting out of control. Now it is what it is. I mean, rent's ridiculous, okay? But still, I mean, I never contacted these people, and to think that, and even if I was, let's just say, for example, I was mentally ill and disturbed and had like desires for my son's father, right? I still wouldn't want anybody being involved in it. I would make that choice myself. I would go and present myself to him and pursue him on my own. I don't like other people like, joining in and stuff. And when it comes to my life, I'm very protective of my life, very protective of my space, But yeah, I think a lot of people want to try to force women or try to think that women should all be married. They should all do this. When you get to a certain age, they should all do this. My life, this is my personal goal in life, okay? I think a lot of people listen to what other people say and they deprive themselves of their heart's desire, whatever that heart's desire is. There's a lot of women who, like there was one lady, she was talking about how she loves 1950s clothes, okay? Now, she's one of those people who let herself get influenced by her peers, which I personally will tell you right now, her peers care nothing about her, okay? Because her peers all buy modern furniture. Her peers all dress in modern clothes. Their peers all listen to, the new music, whatever. Now, I personally hate doo-wop 50s music. That's one genre I cannot really get into. There's some 50s music I like. I like music, period. But some 50s music I like. But that doo-wop type shit, I really can't stand. But this is what she loves, okay? But she wants to do her house in that way. When she comes home, she wants to wear her clothes, those kind of clothes, right? She would prefer to be able to wear her clothes outside because this is what she wants. This is what she wants to present herself as. But she has this outside pressure of a bunch of people who don't give a fuck about her. This is her desire. This is her heart's desire. I believe in following your heart's desire. Okay? And for people who want to obstruct your heart's desire, you need to look at those people and ask if yourself, are they your friends? Because they're not. There's nothing wrong. She's not hurting anybody by, listening, except for I personally, if somebody turned that kind of music on and I'm in the house, I'm going to probably shut the door or try to get out the room or something. But still, she has the right to live her life how she wants to. You see what I'm saying? And I think that I have tried to find my own tribe. And unfortunately, when I was dealing with the gang stalking, I was around people who were within this particular network that were all of their tribe with the same mindset. Okay, not necessarily of the same religion, but of the same brainwashing. They jumped on this bandwagon of something they really didn't know about. I will tell you one thing. Jehovah's Witnesses would not associate with you outside of this little scheme that they pulled. And I don't even believe that it was really a Jehovah's Witness who did this. I think it was my son's father who did it or whatever. Jehovah's Witnesses would never associate with you outside of this little scheme that happened. Okay. So anyway, I don't want to go into like the blame shit because I can blame all day long and I have a right to. But, I'm just kind of talking about my feelings and stuff like that. It's just and I've been told this, and I've read this several times, that, people who are, I don't like saying I'm so intelligent or whatever, but people who do have intelligence are usually more depressed than anyone else because we see the reality of it. We see right through people's bullshit. We see, that life really is more miserable than it even appears to be. We know the truth of certain things. So, I tend to be that way. And, and it's hard sometimes to find the people that you really want to gravitate to because I don't want to be around people who have expectations of me. And the majority of people, they're either from a tradition that I don't want to adhere to or a religion that they don't even understand themselves, but somehow they want to impose that shit on me or whatever, or they think I'm supposed to be something. I prefer to be around people who think outside the box. You know those little blue haired women that like you see jogging around every once in a while. I'm always interested in them. I'm like, oh, well, we should be talking. We should go out for some coffee or something. I want to be around the different people, the people who can think for themselves, who live for themselves. You know, and one of the things I didn't like about like the Jehovah's Witness faith, or just any faith that to me it seems oppressive, not just to women, but to everybody. Like, you know, I didn't like the fact that every time a person, like for example, there's a lot of hypocrisy that goes on in certain religions. Okay, like we know that if you like growing up in, I study with Jehovah's Witnesses, but this is just an example. Like they were never encouraged. Like, you know, one of the reasons why I didn't pursue college when I was going in high school, because I was studying to be a Jehovah's Witness, right? Jehovah's Witnesses at a time didn't believe in higher education. And if you even mentioned that you wanted to have a higher education, they would go into this long spiel about how Armageddon is coming, how, you know, the end's coming very soon, and you need to devote your time to, you know, studying the kingdom, blah, 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 blah. This is what they did, okay? So it kind of shocks me now, you know, when you see a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, I don't know if they're even allowed to go to college now. And that might have changed. They've changed some of their doctrinal beliefs throughout the years. But when I was growing up, they didn't believe in that sort of stuff. Okay, so, you know, and it's not, I personally have my own reasons why I don't believe that higher education is the most, I believe in education. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's no reason why somebody should not take in and learn something. You know, if you know you're on the wrong path, why not correct it? If you can't live your life in an ignorant manner, okay? I personally believe that there's certain ways that you can obtain information without going to college for 4 years, depending on what you're doing, okay? Sometimes you can't get around that. I fully understand that, okay? But, so I value education, you know, in many forms. And it can be in any form. You know, there's nothing you can't really learn on your own. So it's not that I don't value education, but Jehovah's Witnesses didn't, you know, allow or support that, and they didn't support. I remember the ideal of romantic love, which I can understand that it is a practical thing, okay, but and they also, you know, like if you had a talent. You know, that wasn't something that they were really encouraging you to foster. Like they would say, you know, like again, it was the, you know, you should be thinking about how what you can do more for, you know, your service to Jehovah and that sort of thing. And see, I believe spirituality is the embracing of life. It's the embracing of your talents. It's the embracing of, you know, knowledge, whether that be knowledge that you can use here on the earth or knowledge that we can use in a celestial level. I don't believe in limiting yourself. I don't believe in suppressing my desires. And I realize, and it's not about being disobedient. It's not, I look at, okay, like for example, sex, right? Okay, we're going to talk about this for a second. So you're probably thinking, okay, I consider myself to be somewhat asexual. I could take sex or leave it. And I probably seem like I choose to leave it. I don't care about it. Now, who's to say? I might be walking down the street tomorrow and see some gorgeous man, and then I just have this desire that's going to inflame inside me. And if I do, I will act on it. Okay, I will act on it. I will. And I will tell you why, because I believe that if this is in my heart and this is what I truly desire, then I'm going to go after it. And I will not feel any, I'll be apologetic about it in any way, shape, or form. Okay, because I don't believe in, how can I say it? I don't believe in suppressing your desires. If you want something, go get it. As long as you're not hurting and harming another person. Like if that man that I found that was so sexually attractive, if he was what I wanted, as long as he was not married. Now see, this is what I'm saying. If he was married, okay, then that would be an issue. Why? Because he is in a commitment that's going to cause another problem. You got another person that we're not just thinking about ourselves, right? You got to consider this whole issue. So then that's different, right? But if this person was in a position to do that, and I was in a position to do that, then why not, right? This is what I believe. I believe that we should indulge in the things that we truly enjoy. We gravitate, right? But sex is not my thing. Okay, I believe I'm more into like a meditation. I'm more into the mystical things. I'm more into, I guess you can call, I'm an occultist, okay, is what I'm into. And so this is where, and when I say the occult means hidden knowledge. Look it up, read it, study the meaning of it. That does not mean I am in a cult. I'm interested in the occult, the OCCULT, which means that it is the hidden, the unknown, mysteries of life. This is what I'm interested in, okay? And I believe in fulfilling my desires, whatever those might be, as long as I am not in conflict and pain and hurting anyone else, right? So that's completely opposite of depriving myself of my desires, which is, you see a lot of this in religion, and they have absolutely no reason to ask you those things other than to control you. And I don't want anyone controlling me. You know what I mean? And like I said, this has nothing to do with being a heathen. It has nothing to do with anything. Because, I think I'm pretty well self-governed. I believe that I can govern myself. I do. I believe that I can. Meaning, like, I don't believe that I do anything that when I was younger, of course I did. I was experimenting with what I'm doing. I want to taste a little bit of this part of life. I want to do this. And I don't think there's anybody on the face of this earth who's 50 years old who has not. Experimented in some way, wanting to do something that they might have broken a rule, a law, or whatever, and they look back and they think, man, that was dumb. But, I learned my lesson. I won't do it again. Okay? But for the most part, I think I am somebody who could be self-governing. You know what I mean? I don't believe in politics, but if I was in politics, I think it would be someone like my personality who would be put in a position to rule people. Why? Because I have very good moral standards. I have great moral standards, higher level moral standards than the majority of people. Obviously, if people normalized bullying a woman, telling a woman how to live, trying to force somebody to get married, trying to force somebody to deny their personal desires and force them into a religion, you got to question whether their morals are like, on or good. You know what I mean? I think that I have a good way of living. Now, I don't try to enforce my way of living to other people. When I'm out in public or I'm at work, I don't talk about my personal beliefs, okay? I focus on my work and I do my work, okay? And I don't sit here and try to convert people to my way of thinking. But when you're on my channel, this is the sort of things I talk about. And I talk about my views of freedom. And I believe in being free, and it hurt me to know that these were my views that I held dear, and that there were certain people who were trying to make me live in a way that literally, when you start considering how you can blow your brains out, what kind of propane tank can you get to just end it all, it's a very serious thing. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about bullying somebody to the point of where they would rather die. Okay, I would rather die than be married. That is not a joke. I don't see marriage like I used to when I was a kid. I see it as an institution that I have no fucking interest in whatsoever. I really don't even want to get involved with that. Now, I think some people, maybe their institution works great for them, especially if you're business minded, you got a dream, you got a focus, or maybe you want to have kids or whatever, and you have this sort of idea of the kind of life and kind of children that you want to raise and the sort of structure you have. And, that's good for you. I am done raising kids. I only raised one. And I don't ever want him to feel like he has any sort of obligation to me. You know what I mean? I don't want him to ever feel that way. I want freedom. Freedom is important to me. You know what I mean? And when you feel like your life isn't yours, there's really no point in living at all. And then I know that there's expectations on societal expectations for women. There's societal expectations for a lot of people who, like myself, okay, there's societal expectations for women who are my age, like, why aren't you married already? And then, people around her or, me in my situation, I'm trying to talk figuratively, but, people in that situation, some people feel pressured, they'll feel so pressured that they'll act like they're dating somebody. They'll do the whole George Glass-Steagall, just so they can, okay, could you please just leave me alone? But I'm one of the people who's I really don't have an interest. But like I said, if I did have an interest, If I woke up one day and said, I want to go out and have a boyfriend or something like that, a fling or whatever, then I would definitely do that. And I would not want anyone trying to persecute me. They can roll their eyes, they can make them mumble all they want to, but I have every right to. You know what I mean? But if I wanted that, I think I would have done that by now. I think really in my life, what I feel like I'm lacking right now is I'm lacking true feminine friendships. You know what I mean? I wish I had them, and unfortunately, much like the whole idea of romantic love, these sort of feminine friendships could very well be a fallacy as well. And I highly suspect that they are. Most women tend to be very cutthroat, catty, petty, whatever. And it's been very difficult to find true friends. So in this world, we only pretty much have ourselves, So, I think the older I get, the more, it is sad. It's very sad because when you're younger, you don't think about it. Like I had time, like when I was like 20 something years old, people weren't putting pressure on me to have a boyfriend. Okay, I did have a boyfriend. As a matter of fact, it was my son's father at the time. But still, it's like, the older you get, the more pressure to the point of where you had institutions being involved in it. People bringing me in for job interviews. Mind your own fucking business. And I'm going to say this one more time. I hope people in this community learn their lesson and will never do this to another human being again. I'm serious. It is psychologically devastating. You know what I mean? Women who choose to go this path are not rebelling against the male establishment. Some women just know deep down inside they will not be great performers in the institution of marriage. Because I'm the kind of person, I come home, I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to talk to people when I feel like talking to somebody. Okay, and after being this way for so many years, it would be too big of an adjustment to change my life to be in a relationship. You know what I mean? I was just very upset about the entire thing, and to make it to basically put it into institutionalize it where you have employers who are denying your freedom. Not just in one location, but like I was trying to find a job in another location because I figure, I would track across the country. If I couldn't find a job in one location, you best believe I'm going to be looking for somewhere else to go. If that means leaving this country to find work, Maria's going to take care of herself. And by the way, perps, you better clear my name in all fucking 50 states. That's not even a fucking joke. That's not a joke. Like I said, I'm never going to move to Delaware. I'm never going to move to Alaska. My name better be clear. I better not ever be dragged into another fucking fake job interview ever again. If I want my fucking freedom is basically what I'm saying. I don't want anybody ever telling me where I'm going to live, what I'm going to do, because you basically have reduced the quality of my life. And that's something that hurts me on a daily basis, knowing that somebody did that shit, evil shit to me that you had no right to. So anyway, so I'm trying to enjoy the rest of my life, and I don't feel self-conscious about being single. I don't feel self-conscious about not being a part of a religion. I don't feel self-conscious about being, being who I am. I don't feel self-conscious about being a black woman in a predominantly white area. I don't. You know what I mean? And I don't feel that way. You know what I mean? I'm very self-assured. I think that makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable because most people don't have the kind of confidence I do. Now, confidence, do not confuse it with arrogance. You know what I mean? Arrogance is where I feel like I'm better than everybody. I don't. But I will tell you this. When it comes to how to treat other people, I'm going to tell you what, I'm better than everyone. I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to manners, understanding the rights and wrongs of things, I will tell you right now, I am better than everyone else. That does not mean that I look better than everybody else. Doesn't mean that I have the thinnest body in the world. Doesn't mean any of those sort of things, okay? But when it comes to morals and standards and how to treat people, understanding laws and treating people with respect, I would say that I am the epitome of, proper etiquette, I guess that's what you want to call it. But no, I'm not arrogant. I believe in myself. I believe in the way that I see things. I believe in my life's philosophy, which I have a right to have, and there's going to be some people that you meet in this world and you may not agree with them. You don't have to like them. If you don't like them, you don't like what they have to say, then associate with other people. Okay. But they still have the right to live. And I felt like, to have to say this in the United States of America was very shocking to me. This country is not as free as we'd like it to be. I mean, sure, the establishment, it was established to be this way, but, you look at the average everyday citizen of this country, and they're on a completely different level. They don't even understand that. They don't even understand anything, really. I mean, I'm trying to live my life to avoid as much of that backwards thinking as I possibly can. So anyway, I think I'm going to wrap up this video. I'm a little tired. And it's sad, because, I'm getting older, and I feel like they took up so much of my time. They took up so much of my time, and I keep thinking, what could I have done with my life had these people not been blocking me, thinking that they had the right to block me? What could I have done with my life? Where could I have gone? Who could I have met? Could I have met better people? Would I hate the majority of mankind now had I not had anything to do with these people? You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, my only point of reference of what I've had to deal with was these assholes and their little flying monkeys. I mean, that's pretty much all I really had to deal with. So, and I do understand human behavior is pretty twisted, because, like, why would you get other people to participate in this if they weren't evil? You know what I mean? So, it does. It skews a lot, and it affects a person on a mental level every day. You know what I mean? But I implore employers to start thinking more about human trafficking. I hope that you guys consider more issues relating to domestic stalking. There's a lot of women out there who are trying to get away from their husbands. Now, that man was never my husband, okay? But even if he was my husband, there are a lot of women who need protection, who desperately need to have a roof over their head, and we don't have time to play your fucking games, okay? It is a very serious issue, and I hope that people have learned their lesson from this. I mean, I get emotional when I think about it, but it's very serious. People can end up killing you in this program, and the reason why is because their emotional frenzy of this game that they think is a game could end up destroying a person's life. You know what I mean? If I was considering getting a bag, the exit bag, if I was considering blowing my brains out, okay, and I wasn't going to blow my brains out because they hurt me so bad because I believed all the negative shit that they were saying about me. They were putting me in a position where I couldn't survive. I couldn't find even a job. I couldn't even find a job at all. And they were thinking it's funny. It's not fucking funny. Okay? And so I hope, they talk about harassment, they talk about these sort of things. I hope that people in these positions that are supposed to be responsible take some responsibility and stop doing this to women. And not just women, I'm talking about minorities or whatever. You may not like people's belief systems, you may not do those sort of things, but they have the right to go and work for a company that appreciates, that embraces a culture of diversity or whatever. I understand that where I live in a community, it's kind of hometown. You get a lot of people who've been raised around each other, and so they don't really know a lot of stuff. So that was fine. I understood that. So I'm like, okay, when in Rome, you do as the Romans do. I will go find somewhere else to live. They wouldn't let me do that. You see what I'm saying? And I understand what blacklisting is. I understand what that is. And I understood the severity of it. And I understood that I was going to have a very hard time recovering from it. So that's realistic. That's why a lot of targets kill themselves. Because they don't want to be a burden on anybody else. And what else are you going to do? You know what I mean? Do not ever play these stupid games. Ever. With anybody. Okay? As an employer, I think that's one of the reasons why it traumatized me so much, because, there's certain things that I know and I've understood as law for a long time. Like, I understood this whole thing about domestic stalking and the laws about discrimination, all this since the 90s, okay? So I foolishly assumed that everybody else did. Every professional did and respected and adhered to it. And I think it's because I was dealing with a lot of shock and trauma, because I never expected anybody to do this sort of stuff in a place of work. This is why it shocks a person and disturbs a person so bad, because you don't feel safe. And I will have a very hard time for the rest of my life, feeling normal again. It is. I realize that this is a form of the trauma, and I hope that people will be more responsible. I hope there's not one more person being called in for a fake job interview. I hope there's not another employer out there who's going to participate in trying to force someone into marriage. I hope there's not another employer out there who's going to try to force somebody into religious standards that they don't believe in. I hope there's not another person out there who's going to deliberately put in a death program for somebody who chooses not to be overweight. That's bullying. It's bullying to the point of where, what other options does a person have? Because I'll tell you what, I will blow my brains out too. If somebody said you have to be fat for the rest of your life, I would fucking goddamn blow my brains out. I wouldn't want to live. I remember being overweight, struggling as a kid, and I was like, I don't want this. I hate this. I always hated it. I fucking hate it. There's nothing about it that I like. I don't even like waking up in the morning being that way. No, fuck it. I'd kill myself. You know what I mean? This is a very serious issue, and trying to force people into a way of life and work jobs that they don't really enjoy, or give them no sense of enjoyment, just fucking doom and gloom. This is what they were fucking doing to me, over and over and over again. You know what I mean? It was not good. So understand that it's not something that people can just get over. Like I try to get over it. But it's in the back of my mind, it's a morbid feeling that I have in the back of my mind, that somebody wanted to wipe me off the face. Somebody wanted me to act against my will. There was a sick fuck out there who wanted me to act against my will. That's crazy. You know what I mean? And I know they bring people involved in it. They involve people in it, and people who, people who got involved in it. Some of them didn't understand. I maybe have participated in it. Whatever the case is that the people who came up with these ideas knew good and well I was completely opposed to this sort of belief system. You know what I mean? So it's not like you can say, oh, I didn't know. You fucking knew. So I'm going to say that it was a malicious attack with deadly intent. And knowing that somebody put something like that, they blacklisted me throughout the entire United States. Think about it. What would you do if you were blacklisted throughout the United States? Some women, they would just say, fuck it. I'm going to be a stripper. I'll be a whore. Some people will make money doing that kind of stuff. I'm not going to do that. Okay? I'm not going to be a prostitute. I'm not going to do that. I'm not judging people who are, okay? Because I think if a person has to do what they have to do, and they have the ability to do that and wake up with themselves every morning, and they have to, some people, they got to do what they got to do. Okay, but I myself would not want to live with myself knowing that I did that. That's just not me. I would not want to be a prostitute. But I'm not judging prostitutes. I'm not. You know what I mean? I have a very open mind. People got to do what they got to do. I just don't want to do it. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I've been talking too much, but I needed to talk. I have been dreaming of the ideal woman to talk to have this really close camaraderie with, and maybe it is a pipe dream, who knows, but I would like to be around somebody who thinks like me, someone that I can really enjoy, somebody who I don't have to explain myself to, you know what I mean? And I don't want to talk about certain things and then something's going off in her head, like, I want to change your mind, I want to change your view, I don't want to be around people like that. Can't stand that kind of shit. I hate it. It's all I've ever known, I just want to be accepted for who I am. And if I'm not, then I'll be fine on my own, because I don't want to be around that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So anyway, I am going to wrap up this video. I'm going to go take a shower. I'm going to go get something to eat, and then I'm going to go to bed. I hope everyone has a good evening tonight. Take care. Bye-bye.